Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up at the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is happening, man? Welcome back to Winning on Wednesday. That's right. It's Wednesday. It's 9 a.m. That means we are live right here in Austin, Texas from Syndicate headquarters. My name's Tony Merwin. I am your co-host, but the man of the hour, the Tower of Power, sitting right next to me, Mr. Joe Frazier Camper, the king
I like that.
of Facebook groups, the king of trucking groups, and the Jolly Ginger Giant himself.
I like the Tower of Power. That was pretty solid, Tony. It feels good to be back, dude. That intro got me going. We've been out of the studio for the past couple of weeks, so I'm excited to be back. Good to see all y'all on here. If you could, drop in the comments, y'all, and we're going to try and, if anybody knows, right, StreamYard and how you have to stream to the groups and everything, there's a slight lag between the live and all this good stuff, but I'm still going to try and monitor the comments. So you guys just drop those comments in Facebook. I'll make sure and pop back and forth. And y'all, we got an amazing show. We've got some huge announcements that we've been putting a lot of work into, a lot of conversations, a lot of thought at what's best for the insurance syndicate and all of our members, most importantly. So we're very excited to talk through some of that. But as always, before we get going, Mr. Merwin, what's your weekly win?
Weekly win, man. It's an easy one this week for me because it's Facebook ads. Facebook ads make money for you, and I mean they're good. There's a specific one. The reason why I'm bringing it up today, I had an ad that I've been running for maybe about 8 weeks, and it's been pulling pretty well here and there. And Facebook Ads Manager notified me and said, "Hey, you're having creative fatigue on this ad. You need to put in some new creatives or do something." And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't understand why I'm getting creative fatigue. It hadn't been running that long. My audience is over 1 million people. So I just adjusted the budget a little bit. I was running at about 35 a day. I bumped it up to $50 a day. And now it's ripping about 6 new T65 leads every single day for me.
Jeez.
Super high intent, super qualified, generating leads in the T65 space for $21.93 on Facebook.
Damn. That's sick.
Yeah. I can't wait to see the CPA on it. I need a little more data before I can really nail that down, but it's going to be a great CPA.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. And you guys, I mean, it's crazy to think that it's already like it's June. Yeah. Like AEP is not too far away again, y'all. It's crazy. I swear you guys like just got done and now here we are again. It's funny. You said creative fatigue, dude. And I was like, I have no idea what that is because I don't do Facebook ads or anything like that. So
it means that your ad is being shown to the same person too often.
Got it. Okay.
And it's not rotating through the audience.
Got it. Yeah, as he said earlier, guys, I'm a Facebook group kind of guy. So, but my weekly win, man, it's funny. You're talking about leads. And I think, guys, there's leads. And then also I think when a lead is closed, are you asking for the referrals or building relationship with that client? Right. And so we've had some deals that went through and I waited money, everything 100% funded, payment collected in full and everything as of yesterday, like in our hands. So now it's like, hey, I'm good to talk about it. But last week, my two guys, shout out to Austin Martinez and to Todd Wilson. We closed in the past 2 weeks, y'all, $563,000 in new business premium on the property and casualty side. So again, if you guys are in the PNC space, obviously we're not just closing a bunch of auto and home policies, right? It's all commercial based, which is, again, I don't know, maybe if that's the kind of sign for you to, man, maybe I should pivot away from this hard market of personal lines. Don't get me wrong, you should still do it. But man, these commercial accounts, man, and just what's to come. It's crazy. Like even what we have in the hopper, we still have another like 600 something thousand in the hopper that we've already like in quoting, everything like that. So, I mean, we're going to close potentially in a month. We'll say actually probably not, a little bit more than a month, but at least definitely within 3 months we'll close over $1 million just between my two guys. That is not including the rest of obviously Redwood, Clarity, now going to be Clearview. So shout out to my guys, man. It's kudos to y'all for putting in the work. Todd's been in insurance for less than freaking 6 months, and he closed like 75,000 in a week. So putting me to
12 months to hit numbers like that.
it's putting me exactly. It's like putting me to shame, but I'm also very proud. So good job, guys. Appreciate y'all. And that is definitely a weekly win. And make sure, guys, if you see them in the comments, celebrate them because that is a huge win.
Absolutely.
But man, go ahead.
That made me think of something. We need a truck horn.
We
need a truck horn on here.
That's solid.
Yes.
That'd be good for my
That's
trucking
what I
group
do.
too. I like that.
Ideas.
If you guys have any weekly wins, drop them in the comments. We want to celebrate you. What's up? Oh, Austin Mitchell. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. Hey, Aaron, Melissa Ham. How are you? Good to see you. If you're in Austin anytime soon, let us know. Come on by. But without further ado, y'all, we have an amazing guest. As you guys can see in the description of the show, he has been on here. This is his third time returning because of popular demand. He was actually, I'm pretty sure, our first ever Winning on Wednesday show like over 2 years ago. Which was just crazy powerful. It's when I was in my office that looked like I was at 7-Eleven at 2 a.m., as David Carruthers said. But then we brought him back again to kick off. Was that the beginning of last year? I think it was, man, just because of the power of his testimony and everything that he's been able to overcome and is now giving back in his life. We had to bring him back. And again, guys, we've got some really cool announcements as to why we have him on the show. But without further ado, let's give a nice warm welcome to my man, Mr. David Williams. What's up, brother?
What's going on? How are we doing today?
Doing fantastic, man. It's great to see you again, as always.
No, it's always a pleasure to see you, gentlemen, and winning here on Wednesday. I love it.
Absolutely. So real quick, before we jump into everything, what's your weekly win, Mr. Williams?
I'd say my weekly win, we got a couple weekly wins, but I'd say the one, we just sponsored a homeschool conference, one of the largest homeschool conferences in Florida. And it was a big win for us at the conference. I mean, first off, it was incredibly inspiring. We did it for our kids' youth program, Fifth Degree Academy, where we're trying to impact youth, teaching them the things they don't teach enough in school.
Love it.
And man, it was a movement. There was thousands upon thousands of parents that were, taking grasp of their kids' education coming into that conference. And I was able to connect with the state officials of Florida. And, God willing, fingers crossed, from what they told me, we're going to be getting our project put on the state website next to Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA Academy and Mike Huckabee's Tuttle Twins. So we'll be up there as one of the few options on the Florida State website. And then they're working on getting us officially approved for homeschool funding and funding for kids with special needs in the state of Florida.
Wow. Was this a virtual conference?
No, it was an in-person conference. That's what was kind of so inspiring about it. I knew there's a lot of parents that are homeschooling their kids, but man, it was like an army came through there of just thousands of kids and parents that all wanted something more for their kids that they weren't getting in the existing system.
So this was a conference designed for the parent, right? To help them understand the value of homeschooling.
Yeah, so they had a whole, vendor setup, expo. So I guess it was like, you think about like a 10X growth con or an 8% conference, but for homeschool parents, give them resources to win.
That's outstanding, man.
That's a win, dude.
Kudos to you for your efforts in that.
Thank you.
Obviously, we were there for you when you set the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah, absolutely. That was super fun, and we appreciate the support on that too. Yeah, but we got it right over here, actually, somewhere here behind me. But yeah, we set a Guinness World Record for the most amount of kids and parents to learn about financial literacy. And what we're finding here is there's just a big, a lot of people have their heart and mind behind this topic, that they know things are broken. They know we're not teaching our kids what they need to be taught. Our kids are going more and more down the wrong path in this country, which kind of inspired this. So we got about $1 million worth of speakers to, donate their time to that event. And now coming up, we're starting to do pop-up events in schools where we're bringing in celebrities, influencers, business experts to impact kids. And we're seeing very similar support behind that. When they hear kids education, it's very encouraging that they're like, how can I come in and support? So we're hoping to really create a movement behind this thing and impact a lot of hearts and minds.
Outstanding, man. I really love what you're doing. I don't have kids of my own, but I remember long ago when I was like, I'm going to have kids one day. That's part of my future plan. And I'm like, they're definitely going to public school because public school is where you go learn to get thick skin, right? It's where I went to school. You learn to get bullied. You learn how to deal with
now they just indoctrinate you.
Now that it's indoctrinated, right? And then I used to think, well, and then I kind of shifted. I'm like, well, the hell with public school. I'll send them to private school. And then I see similar stuff happening in private school. And now I'm like, man, there's no way I would send my kid anywhere other than homeschool if it were me.
Yeah. No, that's
absolutely.
I mean, as a parent, dude, I think that's crazy powerful. And it's like, you know, part of me starts to think even, you know, like I took my 5-year-old out to softball with me last night just because she's like, Dad, I really, you know, I'd love to be able to spend time with you. Just again, it's something that is just different, right? And part of me starts to think is like, okay, when can I start bringing her with me to events and stuff, right? I know like some of those, like, I don't know, we just went to SWAT. I don't know if she'd be able to handle SWAT. It might be a little loud and intense, but it's so cool and it's powerful because again, as a parent, but then also, you know, as somebody who really believes in giving back. And I hope that's what y'all heard in that is, man, and Dave, I kind of want you just your 30,000 foot overview because y'all, when you give, you get. And the guy is too humble to really talk about it, but Dave has had a ton of successes in his life, has done some amazing things, accomplishments that a lot of us probably or maybe not will ever hit. So Dave, just take a little bit to talk about some of your story, which kind of propelled you into everything that you guys are doing with Fifth Degree, and then obviously Team Hire, all your other businesses.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, first off, you know, on the principles, the more you give, the more you get. I fully believe that. And, you know, a mentor of mine, Dave Meltzer, he talks about this, but also talks about having the openness to receive, because a lot of times people are great givers, but they're not good on the receiving end. And if you're a great giver and you're not receiving enough, I had to learn that the hard way because I had a difficulty receiving, and you'll eventually run out of what you have to give. So you got to be receiving always to keep filling up your cup. And the more you give and the more you receive, eventually that receiving will come through as abundance and you'll be able to give more. So by getting good at receiving in the right circumstances, you can give so much more and impact the world in so many different ways. And I can tell you that, you know, the time I'm in seasons where we're focused less on giving, whether it's, you know, we're battling some changes in an industry or whatever it might be, it's the dynamic of everything is just off. But when we're in that state of flow, it's always also in a state where we're making the most impact across our businesses. And that's why just about every one of our businesses are for-purpose businesses. You know, what does that mean? You know, you got for-profit, you got nonprofit, and then you got for-purpose. And a lot of people don't know about that. So they got their for-profit and they're like, hey, when I make enough money, I'm going to give some of my money to a nonprofit over here. Or I'm going to start a nonprofit, but the only problem with a nonprofit is I got to keep getting money from other people. But what if, you know, you could follow a model like a Tom Shoes? You think about Tom Shoes, one of the ways they exploded their brand, and I believe this is a big part of our value proposition because people want to do business with other good people. People want to do business with brands that are impacting the world in a positive way over brands that are not. So you can have your cake and eat it too. You don't got to wait till tomorrow until you're making enough money to give. You can build it into your model. Like what we do at Team Hired, our recruitment firm, for example. So we take a portion of the profits and we do monthly initiatives, and we take a portion of the profits, portion of the revenue that will give back to community outreach. So we just recently did a raiser where we raised some money to do a homeless event, raised about close to $10,000, and we're going to be doing a homeless event in our local community, bringing in showers, bringing in clean clothes, barbers to give haircuts to all the local homeless, and then having counselors there to set them up with resources, get them off the street and get them housing. So our thought is, you know, we can take part of the profits, give the identity back to so many of these folks that are on the street that forgot who they are, show them in the mirror, a fresh cut, nice set of threads, and maybe give them some resemblance and some memory back of when they were living the good life and they were off the streets, in hopes that that'll touch their heart and mind and maybe get them off the streets. You know, you look at Tom Shoes, they exploded their brand. They were just a shoe company doing well. But when they really did well, and it didn't even cost them a dime, they just upped the cost of goods, right? So they went from $40 per average pair of shoes to $45. And they just marketed that for every pair of shoes we sell, we're going to gift a pair of shoes to somebody overseas that is in need that doesn't have any. And that literally exploded their brand. It didn't cost them a dime. So whether you're out there in the insurance space, you're in any other business, I think you too can figure out, how do I bake it into my operating model where it's literally part of my marketing budget, that I'm a for-purpose insurance agency that's giving back? Because I can guarantee you, you will eventually see a measurable uptick in sales because people want to do business with what? Other good people that are doing good things in the world.
It's amazing, dude. I'm so excited to be doing business. Well, I've already been doing business with you for years, and we'll get to there. But real quick, for anybody that hasn't maybe seen the first couple of shows that we've had you on, real quick, just take them through that backstory.
The cliff notes of the backstory. So I started my, first off, when I was a kid, I grew up bullied as a kid. I was told I had a severe learning disability, and unless I worked with my hands, that I wasn't going to amount to very much in this world. So, words matter. And that was a seed that was planted in my mind from a young age. So here I was, I thought I was going to, if college baseball, pro baseball didn't work out, because that was my ultimate dream, that I was going to go down the path of tool and die, and doing machining work. So I went to school for that. I played a year of college ball at FLCC, ended up hurting my arm. That dream ended. I had to, step into something else. And I stepped into that tool and die that my teachers set me up with. Got a certification in that, and it just really didn't align. It didn't resonate with me. My passion, my heart wasn't there. So, my parents told me at the time, they're like, hey, you want to keep living under this roof? One of two things: you got to go to school, or you got to go to work. So what did I do? I think that's, what many of us should do in situations of our life where we're going through transition, is ask for help. I went and asked for a friend for help that was working at Circuit City at the time. And he got me a job selling car stereos. And I thought I was starting over, but little did I know I was building off of the foundation. Because, as a kid, things didn't come easy to me. I had to put 10x the effort in that everybody else did just to be where everybody else was. But the superpower I learned from a young age was from my first mentor, my dad. And he just taught me to outwork everybody in the room. He was still to this day, I've never met anybody that's harder working than my father. We had a brother that went down the wrong path in life, no longer with us. My dad really stepped up as a man. He already was, but stepped up at a whole other level, was running 2 businesses around the clock, 7 days a week, operating on 3 to 4 hours sleep, like superhuman, every single day, just to afford the things that he couldn't afford. So I could, go to private baseball lessons, my sister music lessons. So we didn't have time to get in trouble like my brother did. So I didn't realize it at the time, but through osmosis, I was picking up on the superpower from my dad. So I went into Circuit City and I just freaking out, hustled everybody who was there, became the top salesperson in the store, first sales gig in a short period of time. Later became one of the top in the company. And then one of the youngest store managers promoted in Circuit City history. I was 21 years old. They gave me the keys to a $24 million superstore. I knew nothing about hiring, leading people, anything else, but it was one of the best educations I ever received. I'm climbing that corporate ladder like so many of us do. I'm in my own box. I didn't know anything else until life happened, right? And at the time, I didn't see it this way, but it was the greatest blessing that ever happened in my life. I'm climbing that corporate ladder. I woke up one day and I couldn't walk. My ankles were swollen up. I got pain going throughout my whole body, coming into work on crutches, and it was just a level of pain I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Eventually, they forced me to go off of work on disability, figure out what was going on with me. I had a rare autoimmune condition, ankylosing spondylitis. Your immune system literally attacks itself, attacks your joints. And doctors told me, like, listen, Dave, the reality is this is an expensive condition. This is a condition you're going to be on meds the rest of your life. And there's a very, very high probability that you're going to be on long-term disability. And it's not a matter of fact of if, it's when. And you're so severe, that time is probably now that you have to consider just, hey, I'm going on disability. And, that really shook me up, but I knew God put me on this earth for something different than, being a guy on a couch sitting on disability. So when it got to the tipping point, I think there's a couple different types of moments in life, right? There's inconsequential moments and then defining moments. The inconsequential stuff is the stuff that we worry about that usually never comes to fruition, that blocks us from the big picture. And then those defining moments are those moment decisions that could change the trajectory of our life one way or the other. And this to me was a defining moment. So even though my health wasn't good, I forced myself to get back to work. My bills were adding up. I was a couple months behind on my mortgage, and I did what I knew how. My dad was a big man of faith, raised me that way. I prayed on it. And then all of a sudden I run into a friend of the family in the insurance business doing really well. It was my first encounter with passive income. I'm like, I didn't know about all that. Sign me up, right? Because I'm dealing with health issues. I can't be on my feet in retail anymore. I got to figure something out. And like, I just started getting my insurance license. Now everybody's chirping, Dave, most businesses fail. Don't do it. And you're sick. You're definitely going to fail. So I had to just block out all of that noise, right? I had to listen. Where was that advice coming from? They're coming from people that had good intention, but they've never gone to the destination that I was looking to go. And I know I needed to go. So to me, it was kind of life or death. So I played on it some more. And what I did next, I wrote out a check for $1 million. And it wasn't about the money, but I knew if I could figure out a way to cash that check, that I could create a different life for myself. I could create a different life for my wife that she deserved. I could eventually get resources to find maybe other medical professionals outside of the normal, that's outside of the insurance, what's covered by insurance, to help me with my health, and then get back to my heroes, my mom and dad. My mom and dad, they sacrificed everything, never saved for retirement, never took a vacation. So I knew deep down I needed to be the guy to change the financial trajectory in my family tree. So that's really what that check meant. And I obsessed over it. I looked at it every single day. A few weeks later, an insurance brokerage right in that same shopping mall, 100 feet away from Circuit City, across from a DMV, went out of business. And I knew that was a good location. Okay, DMV, everybody needs to have auto insurance by law. It sounded like it made sense. But I knew the reason it didn't work out for that person is every time I walked by, they were on their cell phone, disengaged. And I knew with my superpower that I was now aware of, that I could do something much different with that location. But then I just had to find the money because I was broke as a joke at the time, dealing with all these challenges. And then 2 weeks later after that, all of a sudden the liquidators come up and they're like, David, all the open merchandise, we just got to get rid of, pennies in a dollar, whatever you can clear everything out for. And it was almost as if it wasn't my own words, like it was God speaking for me. I was like, hey, what if I made it easy on you guys? And I just bought up all that inventory with every Circuit City store within 4 hours of here. They agreed. They said, what do you want to pay? I'm like, here's all I got, which was the last $7,000 in my name out of my 401k. Used that to buy up 70, 80 grand with electronics, filled my living room to the ceiling, arbitraged it all, flipped it on eBay, paid off my medical debt, caught up on my mortgage, restored my credit, and then
boom,
had the minimum capital to start my first insurance agency. Fast forward, I cashed that check 6 months before my goal, which was 35. I did about 34 and a half. Took my parents on some of the most beautiful trips in the world. Gave my wife the house of her dreams, but impacted my community. And then some of the proudest moments of my life, my dad's first brand new Cadillac, I handed him the keys to, and then handed him the keys just 3 years ago. We moved him down to Florida with us, and we retired him and handed him the keys to a brand new retirement home and take care of all his bills. So that's what, and I think one thing I'll point out in that story is, a couple things, like, one, the check, it wasn't about the money. I think if you chase money in this world, you're going to fall short every single time, but there was a profound purpose that was tied to that money, of creating a vehicle that got me to where I wanted to go in my destination. And there was a lot of heart and passion behind it. And I think too, I was in a place in life during that transition. I'm like, God, why are you doing all this to me? And I think we can get caught up in those moments. It keeps happening to me. Life keeps happening to me. No, I think our prayers more times than not are answered in the forms of challenges and opportunities. And that's what it was for me. He answered those prayers in the form of a challenge and an opportunity. And if it wasn't for those challenges in my life, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I would still be maybe struggling in retail, or maybe I would be off of work on disability. But because I had the clarity to pay attention to how God was answering my prayers, and I stepped into it, I stepped into his vision that he had for my life. Now I'm living a life by design, and happier than I ever could be.
Dude, I'll 1,000% agree with you when it comes to the chasing the dollars is what's gonna you'll fall short every single time, man. And obviously you've seen me do House of Dreams. A lot of y'all watching have seen me do House of Dreams. But then once we conclude House of Dreams, then we go into goals, right? And a lot of people, especially in this industry, and I did the same thing, right? That's why I had to switch it up. Was you always start with the financial goals and like, here's what, and everybody, I want to make $1 million in a year, right? Like, well, who doesn't? And so we always start with the personal goals. Like, what do you really want out of this life, right? Like, what do you really want? Some of them are selfish. Some of them, it's funny, a lot of the times, people that gravitate to me are very similar to me, where a lot of our goals are for other people, right? That's just like what our goals are. Is it makes other people happy. And if other people are happy, then I'm happy. But you start with the personal goals and then back those into financial goals. Like, right, what do I need to do financially in order to achieve these goals? And I remember the moment for me, because I was like, I'm going to make, and it was actually from SWAT. And I was writing down, it's like, it was nice making $20,000 a month for the rest of 2023. Excuse me, my bad. And so when I was writing that down, though, I finally hit it. And then it was like kind of, well, I want to make $30,000. It was really nice making, and it was just such an arbitrary number. Like, it didn't mean really anything. But when you well, no, it's because I have 2 kids and because childcare ain't freaking cheap, especially when you do full blown private Spanish immersion, right? Grocery. I live in Austin, Texas, right? I mean, if you're not making 6 figures in Austin, Texas, you're damn near not living, right? And so again, I really agree with that. I hope anybody listening heard that too. And the other thing that I got from you, Dave, and it's something that always just, I think just it's like your energy, man. It's your aura and your vibe is like, dude, don't listen to all the freaking naysayers. I mean, you guys just heard this guy's story, and just throughout his entire life was being told that he can't. And look at where he is now, right? And in a way that is humble, right? It's not like this crazy chip on the shoulder and Dave's like, man, I stepped all over everybody, proved them wrong, right? It's like, no, just block out the noise, right? Look for those defining moments. But that was like, block out the noise and pursue those dreams, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't, man. I freaking love your story, dude. So
no, I appreciate it, brother. No, thank you so much, man.
There was something you said earlier when we obviously we let off on this with the more you give, the more you get. And you made a comment regarding difficulty receiving.
Yeah, no, I felt like,
and on that.
I guess, through a lot of my life, I'd be good at giving, but I'd be difficult at receiving help or receiving it from somebody, because something about taking just wouldn't settle well for me. But then I think it was when I did this kids project is when it really changed and shifted. And then, another mentor of mine, Dave Meltzer, kind of reinforced those principles. It's like, well, how can I help all these kids if I don't receive? And if I'm giving and I'm doing all the right things, I'm deserving of receiving. And it's just going to allow me to give even more. But eventually my bucket's going to empty if I don't receive and I just keep giving. Mm-hmm. And, I think that's just as important as giving is learning how to receive under the right circumstances, because it can magnify our efforts.
Agree. I like that.
That makes complete sense. I've struggled, and this is a smaller scale, but a friend of mine pointed it out to me a while back. He's like, you struggle with receiving compliments. People pay you a compliment and you always say, thanks, but, and then you interject a reason why you're not worthy of that compliment.
Yeah, I can relate to that too. I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? Because it's like, sometimes we feel like that as we're growing and we get to that next version of ourselves, I think everybody else sees that next version of ourselves before we do in the mirror, because we see ourselves every single day, day after day. And then when other people start to notice, it's like we haven't noticed yet. So there's that awkward gap between, I think, perception and reality, and kind of living into that next best version of ourselves.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, man. Okay, guys, this is perfect, because I think now y'all have got about a quick little 30 minutes of just who Dave is, and I can't wait any longer. But Tony, I want you to kick us off, Tony. And guys, so go ahead and tune in. Put a nice little hand clap in the comments, right? Pay attention. We've got some really cool announcements that we're about to drop here for y'all, and for again. All of our syndicate members, we've put a lot of thought into this. This was not something that I honestly ever thought when starting this Facebook group, literally overnight. I'm like, oh, the syndicate, disrupt the industry through transparency and collaboration, right? I never thought that, this group and ultimately now this company would be where it's at from just starting a Facebook group like 3 years ago. So for anybody out there that ever asked, should I start a Facebook group? Yes, you should. I can help you with that. But man, Tony, go ahead and let the members know.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Best way to put this is basically, I guess, about 6 weeks ago or so, maybe 8 weeks. Shit, might have been more than that. Yeah. Time flies right now. I sometimes struggle with putting the pieces together on how long it's been. But yeah, about 6-8 weeks or so ago, our buddy Dave Williams approached us and said, hey, I love what you guys are doing with the syndicate. I was looking at launching my own Facebook group and doing some work to help promote and grow some of the things that we're doing in the community. But I like what you guys are doing. Y'all are good people. You got a great group. So what would it be like if I can come and work with you guys in the Syndicate Media group and the Facebook group, et cetera, et cetera? And we've been fleshing it out. And basically, we are going to be revamping the Insurance Syndicate for, let's just call it a relaunch, if you will. We're going to bring in Mr. Dave Williams, along with his partner, Thomas Bianco, over at Team Hired and the Fifth Degree. And we are going to amplify the value that we are bringing into the group next level. And just to kind of give you a bullet point of some of the things that we're looking at, One, we're going to revamp the preferred vendor list, where our vendors are now providing even deeper, higher value discounts and programs for you guys out there. Again, the rule from day one has always stood that we don't want to create this group to monetize it through the members, right? We want to monetize it by the members. We want to give you guys value. We're not going to sit here and build a group that we just come around and sell you guys stuff all the time like so many other groups are out there doing. We want to provide you value and give you the ability to access more value and more items. So we're going to be building a pretty big infrastructure through this group. You're going to see some options for you to get into. I don't even know if I want to say that next thing yet. I want to keep that as a surprise.
Yeah, it's a good surprise.
We're going to give you some options where you'll be able to access exclusive content that we're going to be putting not inside the group. It's going to be outside of the group on a secondary platform. But we're going to give you the option through Dave and a lot of his connections where you're going to be able to have conversations and sit on calls with guys like Tim Grover, with guys like Dave Meltzer, et cetera, et cetera. So we're truly revamping the entire platform to raise up the value and, of course, grow the syndicate group in total. Just to give an example, one of our first metric goals is to get this thing up to about 60,000 members. We're sitting pretty close to 8,000. And the reason for that is we want to reach people. We want to reach a large audience because we believe that the messages that we're putting together are far better than some of the other Facebook groups that are out there in the insurance space.
Preach.
And I'm not going to say that
there's some good ones out there. I will
say great groups out there, but there are definitely some groups out there that aren't bringing the value at the level that we want to bring it, and that their sole purpose is to get into your pocketbook and just monetize their group through you by selling you things, whether they have value or not. So we have some pretty big things in mind. I certainly don't want to give it all away, but this is the timing couldn't be better with some of the things that have happened. If you guys have been paying attention and noticed, obviously Facebook came around and said, hey, you can't have third-party streaming apps in the Facebook group. So that's disrupted some of our programming. But then at the same time, this conversation's been going on with Dave. Like, man, the timing couldn't be better for the disruption that Facebook gave us. It's not what we wanted, but the timing could be better because now we can take a moment to sit back and revamp the entire platform that we're putting together for you guys and relaunch it for you. So get excited because the value is about to get amplified greatly in this group for what we're going to bring to you guys.
It's going to be sick. And, I've been doing business with Dave and Tom for years now. And have nothing but amazing things to say about y'all. And was honestly, I was honored that you guys even reached out and really wanted to partner in a way that we're looking at doing that. So y'all just be on the lookout here for the next 12 months. And I'll let Dave kind of speak to it a little bit about his mission statement and what they're trying to do and the value they're going to bring and all that good stuff. But again, shout out to you, Dave, man. We are really looking forward to it. And again, I was very privileged and honored to receive that call. We're talking about receiving. It's like, man, Dave is calling me, wants to partner with me, dude. Like, yeah, man. But that's how much, I think of you in good standing, man. So without further ado, just let them know.
Just know that sentiment to both you guys is equal right back at you. And we're just as excited. We're just as honored to partner with you in the group. We're thinking about, hey, let's grow this separate Facebook group. I feel like in life, you can't do big things alone. I was like, why don't we just find some other, really good people we got synergy with and do something bigger, faster. And I'm just, super excited for what we have ahead, and then obviously doing our show that we talked about too. Our goal is going to be just coming in here and delivering as much value as possible. Right. The last thing that I hate is you go into groups and you got a pitch fest, or you go to a conference and it's a pitch fest selling you thing after thing. What our goal and our mission is just to come in and serve any way that we can. So we're going to be launching a new show called Ask the Experts. I'm going to be the host, and we're going to be bringing in different business experts week to week, where you can just bring your challenges. What are the challenges that you're facing in your business? And ask the experts, and then we'll just go round robin. And if we might not have the answer to everything, and if we don't, I can assure you, we'll share that. Hey, we don't have the answer to that, and we're going to go try to find an answer to that for you with a follow up. But we're going to try to bring in really interesting people that are winning. That you'll be able to come in and bring some of those challenges to the table, where we can sit around the show for an hour and just dissecting some of those challenges you're facing in your business. It could be a business challenge. It could be an insurance related challenge. It could be a tax strategy. It could be, I'm doing great in my business and I'm winning in my business, but where I'm struggling in my health and I'm struggling in my relationship with my spouse. Because we all know that, you got to have equal balance in all the important parts of life to really win. And, that's going to be our goal of this Ask the Experts is, anything around those areas, people will be able to bring their problems in and we'll just have open discussion around them and see what we can do to take a 6-month problem or a 2-year problem and solve it over the course of 60 minutes.
Absolutely. That's the show I'm going to be participating in from I will be the one asking the experts.
Yes.
I will not be the expert.
Yeah.
So
Let me get some of them tax strategies, man.
Absolutely.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's, guys, as words of encouragement to y'all is you'd be amazed at how many agents are dealing with the same problems. Yet a lot of us, we don't talk about them, but then you start talking about them like, oh, damn, I thought I was the only one going through this. And it turns out, no, you've got a whole group of people, right? And it's like, I love that you just said that, Dave, is you can't do big things alone. And a lot of the times, man, there's like hundreds of people that are dealing with the same thing that could have already collaborated and overcome that. So I'm really excited for that show and obviously all the expertise that you bring yourself and as well as your network. Y'all, you guys know what I talk about and preach is your network is your net worth. And I tell you right now, Dave's network is freaking sick. He's going to be bringing in some like baller.
And I'll tell you how that, that network really came to fruition too. I mean, it came to fruition not as a product of giving. I think sometimes when you're receiving, it's not always in monetary value that comes back. And it wasn't the intent of why we did it. But, when we started this kids project and the more giving that I found that we were doing, it almost like reversed the polarity of my life, I feel like. And it created this magnet that started to draw in all the like similar type, like-minded people that are also trying to do great things in the world that have a heart and a passion to impact other. So it really changed the frequency that I felt that I had around me. And I think that frequency started to attract other like-minded people on similar frequencies. And it's, man, I mean, while this is probably my least profitable project, I've been funding it until we, monetize it at the level that we want to. Man, it's been one of the most gratifying. And while money isn't flying off the shelves, man, I'm rich in relationships and just ever so grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You're sitting here talking about frequency. You're starting to sound like Terrence Howard, but I believe that same thing. And there was a period of my time. I guess this was 2018 or 2019. Not that it's important necessarily the timeline, but I spent about 4 months working in the homeless community here in Austin, and all we did was we realized that, wow, number one, the Austin homeless problem has grown exponentially in the last several years. And we just wanted to try to make a difference in some way and just give them some food. Like, is there some way that we can feed them and just kind of help out and feel like maybe we're trying to make some kind of an impact here? Because what struck me as I would cruise around downtown Austin is, number one, they were abundant. You could see them and you could tell that just they were incredibly destitute. And what really blew me away about the homeless community when I dove into it here in Austin, a lot of people that have not ever experienced the homeless community, like really experienced it, got involved in or been homeless themselves. A lot of people immediately think that the homeless is only full of people that are drug addicts, criminals, and people that just have zero drive. And that's not really true. There is a certain element, absolutely, that you're going to have druggies and drug dealers and addicts and people that struggle with that element, mental illness and so forth. But that is actually not even the majority of them. The majority of the people that are in your homeless population in probably any city, but definitely true in Austin, these are people that have had hard times fall on them, right? They've suffered some drastic consequences that have put them in a space where they're truly struggling, but they're still trying. Like, there's a large population of men in the Austin area that are homeless, but they have a job. They live at the homeless shelter. They get up every morning. They ride the bus. They go to their job and they get back to the homeless shelter. And that's their life because they can't earn enough money living in Austin to actually get their own place, their own apartment. In some cases, maybe they're dealing with other debts at the same time that keeps that lid on them. And
absolutely.
I remember walking through that community at one point, and I met this one lady who could easily have been my mother, easily have been my mother. She was well made up, still had her jacket on, her blazer, nice skirt, and had her little piece of luggage with her. And she was constantly trying to look for opportunity every single day while she was living on the street. She was trying to get job interviews. She was trying to do something to lift herself. So she kept herself as neat as she possibly could while living on the streets. And I remember when I was handing this lady a lunch and helping her out and getting some water for her, I realized that there was such a fine line between being productive citizen, for example, and homelessness. It is such a fine line that I think a lot of people don't.
There's so many people that are on the brink of it. And like, you know, anybody that's looking to understand, it might sound wild and crazy, but I would do what I did because I got the best level of understanding around the homeless. Is something compelled me one day. I was out feeding the homeless to go to the Goodwill and throw on some tattered clothes and go live in a day in a life. And I acted as if I was a homeless person on the street. And man, I went into some of the same stores like the Walgreens that I went in to feed the homeless. When I walked in with like a suit or a nice shirt to feed the homeless, it was strikingly different how they treated me that day that I walked in. And then the next day when I had the tattered clothes, loss prevention, I didn't even say a word to somebody, immediately followed me around. I had a crew of people that were around me. They're chasing me out of the store. And then I took my hat off in front of the one girl that remembered me from the day before that we had a good conversation with. I'm like, so what's going on, everybody? I mean, don't you remember me from yesterday? And she was actually shocked, but it was a teachable moment from them, how they treat the homeless. But while I was out there, it was almost like everybody had a similar story. It was like, I came out here to California with a dream. I wanted to start a band. And then all of a sudden, all my roommates that I shared an apartment with, they decided to leave. And I thought I was going to be on the streets for a couple of weeks. And that couple of weeks turned into 5 years. Haven't seen my kids since. Also what they explained is once they get on the streets, there's a huge drug problem in a sense where the drug dealers police that area, because I heard the same exact story from 4 different people that day that I interviewed, that the drug dealers come up to them, they police that area, and they give them their first round or first few days worth of meth or heroin, whatever it might be, for free, get them hooked on it. And then they have all these homeless people go out and panhandle, knowing that now their body is dependent on something, an addiction they can't get rid of. So they know by the end of the day, all the drug dealers come around to all the homeless people. And essentially they had an army of people panhandling out there for them and collect for them to give them their fix that they get them hooked on.
Yep.
And it was another one, same story. I got, he came from a wealthy family. He showed me his old Facebook profile, was on a golf course, got in a fight with mom and dad, was on a bench, thought he was going to be there a few days. 4 or 5 years later. And a lot of these folks, they get so deep into that rabbit hole. I think the key is they lose momentum in life. Mm-hmm. And then they lose a resemblance of who they are. Cause like to your story there, Tony, with that lady, that takes, just imagine the tremendous mental discipline that you got to have to keep yourself together in a situation in life when your life is falling apart. And, most people can't do that. So what happens is it just slowly unravels and they get momentum in the wrong direction. And they're in this valley of despair and they can't climb out.
Yeah.
But they might need somebody like you or me to give them a fresh haircut, to remember who they used to be, give them a little bit of momentum, because, even in our worst times, even making the bed or even, having a fresh haircut creates momentum for us in our lives. And if sometimes it just might be that haircut and that sandwich that carries on the momentum where they can muster the courage to stand up and get back to living a productive life again.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. It was super rewarding for me, but it was super eye-opening to really, because I was kind of working with that similar assumption that these are all people that are just did nothing but make bad choices in their whole life, and they're all drug addicts or they're all mentally insane. And then I get there and I'm like, I'm completely wrong. That's about 15% of the group. The other
absolutely
5% are people that are just struggling with hard times, and a lot of them are trying to get out and they just don't know how. Right. Or just like you said, they're stuck in that momentum, and that just becomes their life. Oh, this is my life now. I live at the homeless shelter. I go work the electrician's job, and I go back and I eat the shelter food. That's what I do. Right.
And I think that's kind of the formula for, all things in life, right? When you think about that's the extreme level, right? That's rock bottom. You're homeless, but you look at, hey, my relationship isn't where it needs to be. My health isn't where it needs to be. My business isn't where it needs to be. Well, usually it's a lack of momentum. And sometimes it could be, just getting up and getting good at making the bed. Sometimes it could be just getting up and getting good at one simple thing. And it's the small, simple things start to snowball, and you start moving from inches to feet. And then you start taking your strides in feet to yards. And before you go it, you're stepping in miles. And then that momentum really just takes over. But I think, that could be symbolic to, a lot of different places in many of our lives.
Now, I want to apply it to the insurance industry. And again, not to be like, hey, that's the exact same, because obviously it's not. But there are a lot of homeless insurance agents out there, people that are lost within this industry, right? People that have, financial struggles or struggles at home where it is obviously impacting their business. They're going into debt. They're making bad decisions, maybe cutting corners, whatever that might be. Maybe they're doing something that could potentially make them lose their license because they're trying to make a quick buck, right? And I think, you talked about it, Dave, you said that one haircut, right? Or that one maybe shower. And to me, I look at that as maybe it's just that one person, right? All it takes is, man, maybe it's that one agent that I spend just a little bit of time with that totally changes the trajectory of their success and their career in the insurance industry, right? And I think, that's obviously a huge, value point or mission statement, whatever you want to call it, for the insurance syndicate is, man, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't get to the point of where you're homeless, right, in this industry and struggling, because ultimately, if you've watched enough of these shows, if you've read anything about insurance, you understand that we are sitting in the best vehicle to get you to whatever all of your dreams, all of your passions, all of your for-purpose businesses, your nonprofit, all of it, right?
Well, and I think you think about what is the type of mentality you have and you start to acquire when you're homeless. It's a scarcity mentality, right? Mm-hmm. So I think when you're comparing that, it's like perfect, because that's the mentality people get into. It's the scarcity mentality when they're just trying to survive. But, having a recruiting company, one of the top recruiting solutions in the insurance space, over 4,000 positive reviews and video testimonials online. I tell people all the time that are in that place, great people don't cost money. I'll say it again. Great people don't cost money. I think where people get in the place where they fear hiring is they hire the wrong person, or they hire somebody that could be the right person, but they don't put any work into training them, nurturing them, and getting them to where they need to go. And it's kind of like having a baby. What do you got to do with that baby at first? You got to nurture the baby. You got to feed the baby. It doesn't happen overnight. You can't just feed the baby like 10 times as much and he's going to grow into an adult. No, you got to follow a process. And, I think if you bring the right person into your agency, you get that right hire that's got the things that you can't teach and coach. They got integrity. They got work ethic. They got that right framework. Maybe they came from another industry. I like people that came from another industry more than I like to hire licensed people. And there's nothing wrong with licensed people. But if you think about it, what is the probability of somebody out there with a license is an absolute rock star and doesn't have a home? It's going to be much lower, and you're going to have a much higher statistical probability that somebody with a license, maybe it's the opposite, and they're bouncing agency to agency. You can increase those odds if you're hiring remote, and you got a much higher probability of getting somebody that's good. But I love taking somebody that's winning in another industry. I'm looking for awards. I'm looking for somebody that's hungry. I'm looking for somebody that's got a mission in life. And, I can take them from a retail environment, take them from a cell phone environment, car sales, whatever it might be, then show them a career on the insurance side. Well, I'll tell you, those people do not cost money. They're producing revenue in your agency. And, the right people with the right training will take your business totally to the other level, outside of that scarcity mentality to a mentality of abundance. And once you find one great person and you realize that great people don't cost money, well, guess what? 10 great people also don't cost money either. You just got to find and settle for nothing less than greatness.
Yeah. You got to get that first one going.
That momentum.
Yeah.
Well, all good stuff, man. I wanted to throw this out there real quick, just and not to go back to this topic, but whenever you do that event with the homeless folks where you bring them out and you bring in some barbers and some other people to kind of dress them up and get them cleaned up and hopefully help them remember who they were, let me know when, because I'm coming out for it.
All right. No, I love it. Appreciate that.
Participate and volunteer and help.
No, thank you for that. It means a lot.
Love it.
Absolutely, man. What do we got, Joe?
Well, I would say, Dave, if you want, man, I'll give you just a couple minutes, maybe just highlight some of the businesses that's obviously you're partnered in and have started, and then we'll kind of close out the show. But guys, again, we're very excited to have Dave here as a partner with us, and then his partner who is also partnering up, Tom Bianco, who I've known for years. It's funny. I think I was the first ever independent agent to ever use Ricochet 360. So I've known Tom for years. He actually used to do my support calls before the company blew up. Him and was it Lance? I think you guys used to help me, and they're like, yeah, now it's obviously we got support team for that. But Tom will be joining us next week. So we're actually going to do a 2-week rollout on this, y'all. I would be willing to bet most of y'all probably don't know Tom, but he's the brains behind all of the freaking machine, man. I mean, the guy is just a genius. I've seen what he can do. I don't know how he does it. I just have seen it. I'm like, dang. So we'll be bringing Tom on next week for y'all to get to meet him and just become more familiar with him and his story. But without further ado, Dave, just a couple minutes, man. Just maybe highlight some of the companies, what you guys kind of specialize in, and then you guys will be seeing him more around in the group. We're excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, even though we got out of the, sold our insurance agencies, we got back into the business. We do have agencies that we operate too. So we're well versed and well understanding of current environment with the insurance space and how we can support. We also have, to your point, Ricochet 360. We're a strategic partner inside of that organization with Bo, and me, Tom, and Bo, essentially run things over there for Ricochet 360, all-in-one CRM phone system for insurance agents. And then we actually just recently launched our own software together. Same, me, Tom, Bo. It's called Jarvie, and it helps automate the hiring and training process inside of an organization. So we're really jazzed up and excited about this one. Kind of high level overview. One of the biggest problems we saw over there is everybody's got a people problem. Everybody's got a training problem, and everybody lacks processes and SOPs inside their organization. We thought, what if we can come up with all-in-one solution that solves all those problems and helps them put it on autopilot? Mm-hmm. So the one thing that we saw there is, you post a job to a job board. What happens? You get a resume back, and everybody's got the perfect resume now because of ChatGPT. And I think there's even AI built into the back end of Indeed, so they can click a button and it's like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. But then you meet them and it's like, you don't look like the person in the resume, and you're spinning your wheels, wasting your time. It's frustrating you in the hiring process. So we literally can bring the hiring process down to the third of the time with much higher results. So what it allows you to do is post out to the job boards, and then you can click a call to action, the applicant, once they apply for the job, that says start your virtual interview. So if you were using the software, Joe, it'd pop up with a 90-second elevator speech on why you're the greatest insurance agency to work for. It'll go into your first video interview question. You can program 3, 4, 5 interview questions. Once they're done listening to the video interview question, it lights up their webcam and microphone where they can reply back into the platform. So now you're not just getting a resume, but you're actually getting a full video interview from that person that's automated. You're not having to spend time on how did they show up? What was their energy? What was their tonality? What was the intention they had? How did they prepare? And now if only you like that person, you mark them a 4 or 5 star, it triggers an automated customizable workflow where all of a sudden now that you could have an auto schedule on your Zoom calendar for that interview, send out a background check, whatever you need to do in the hiring process, you can customize in there. And then we included some AI because everybody likes to use assessments. But we found that bottlenecks the process, trying to get somebody to fill out a 20, 30-minute assessment before you even get to know each other.
Right.
So we actually have our AI Insights that transcribes the video when they reply back and uses AI to score the candidate. And it's very accurate. And then we even took the DISC assessment and made it AI-based. So it'll analyze all their social media profiles. It'll analyze their resume and then give an instant DISC assessment back that's 80% or better accurate, along with an Ocean profile that's instantaneously without the applicant having to do anything. And then once you bring them on and you hire them, you can have all your processes and SOPs there. So you can only build those once, direct them into the platform, where they are, their job description, all of that. And the really cool thing is, I'm sure you guys would agree, and many watching the show would agree, what's the most effective form of training? It's interactive and role play, right? Mm-hmm. So many people do that, but it can be intimidating, the role play. Nobody likes to do it, or I don't have the time. So we wanted to solve that problem. We built software that automates the role play training process. You can build out training curriculum like in a Trainual, a Teachual, a Lightspeed VT, make it interactive, and then you could build out the perfect sales pitch, break it up into segments, the perfect greeting, the perfect objection, the perfect rebuttal. Once they're done watching that video, it lights up their webcam and microphone, lights, camera, action, and then they can role play back into the platform, and you program how many times a day and what topics you want them to role play on. Man, we're seeing the training curve literally cut down a third of the time and seeing people stick much better because we analyze the failure point And where most people fail is they come in and they're thrown to the wolves and they're trying to learn as they go. So they could have a great foundation, but they're not set up for success. So there's a high propensity for failure. Worse yet, you get them on a sales call. They're learning on the sales call for the first time. What are they doing? They're not practicing perfection. They're practicing imperfection, building imperfect habits that now you have to spend 10x the time, money, and energy to break later because you sent an untrained person on the phone or an in-person sales environment. So what this allows you to do is literally ingrain the knowledge where they put the reps in before a live call, develop a perfect cadence, a perfect pitch before they go into that interaction. And now it just takes on. And we're just seeing people, their very first month light the world on fire from the training. So that's our newest venture that we're launching there. Excited about that. Other things we do. We got some real estate with Airbnbs, and we have our kids project, the Fifth Degree Academy, that anybody in here that ever wants to give their kids next level education, happy to support.
Absolutely.
Is that Fifth Degree Academy, is that part of the conference that you just threw? Is that kind of how that homeschool conference? Or is that
we were a vendor there, so we were actually just a big sponsor at the homeschool conference there.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
I want to highlight Jarvie real quick. And if anybody wants a insight on that, I'm in there. I have been in there for months now, and ours is completely built out. It's funny. I actually just used Jarvie to create a consultation contract yesterday. And so just even that, the AI part of Jarvie and all the everything that's got built into that, dude, it's like so freaking easy. But shout out, it is really sick, y'all. And especially for me, this is again more on the property and casualty side. I know it can apply to life and health as well, is just the carrier training. A lot of that stuff is, don't get me wrong, it's crazy important, but it's not sales, right? And a lot of it's the same, especially on the PNC. 80%, 85% of what we do, y'all, is data entry, right? We ain't actuaries. We're not determining the rates. We're just trying to obviously not sell shitty coverage, right, at an affordable price. Let's be honest, right? But I think, even having that offloaded to where, hey, go through that training, right? And then and it's a classic John Wetmore, right? When they come to you with questions and said, well, hey, did you watch the training? And then they can't BS you because you can go in and you can see, or they did take the training and you can obviously see they didn't watch it because they got F's on every single question that you asked them for feedback, right? So I wanted to highlight Jarvie. It's sick. It's going to be a game changer for us, and I'm definitely looking forward to implement. We're throwing our first agents into it now. So just had to give that quick highlight.
Excellent.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. We're super excited about it, and looking forward to the value that it can bring to everybody in the insurance space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on. We are at the top of the hour, so I want to not only respect your time, but certainly the audience. And get excited, guys, because Syndicate's about to relaunch. It's about to be even more spectacular than it already has been. We appreciate you guys being part of the group, engaging in our group. We are, if you guys don't already know, like, we're one of the highest engaging Facebook groups out there. We have about 8,000 members, and I want to say we're about 70 to 80%,
like 77%
daily engagement. Mm-hmm. So that's a big testament to the members of the group, because the members of the group ultimately are what drive that culture and that engagement. So thanks to all you guys for being such great members and helping us cultivate this great group. But we're going to take it to another level with our friend here. So thank you.
And I'm super excited to partner with you guys on it. Super excited to the value we're going to be able to collectively bring together. And I think most importantly is like all the new relationships get to build. Just super excited about that and connecting with so many of you in the group and the insurance syndicate.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So thank you guys again. We will be back next week with Mr. Thomas Bianco on week 2 of our rollout on the relaunch. So get excited for that one. And other than that, man, remember, it is the peak of the week.
Let's go.
You got a couple days left. Put the throttle down and let's finish strong, man.
And I'll end it with this. You can't do big things alone. All right, y'all. We appreciate you guys. Thank you, Dave. Everybody have an amazing day. Later.
Peace out.